Hello, fellow Minecrafters. Gearsaw Studios here. Today, I'm going to show you how to build the ancient city center, or portal, depending on how you see it. However, before I begin, remember, please like and subscribe. It really helps me out. So, with that, onto the tutorial. For this builds palette, we are going to just be replicating what we see in the ancient city. So I have used a structure block to just force this thing into the surface, and we can see what makes it up. So we're going to be using a similar palette to it. We're going to be using polished deep slate bricks, deep slate tiles, cobbled deep slate, smooth basalt, and soul soil, but mainly only for the soul fire. And you're going to need quite a large area for this, because you can see it's just a massive structure. So make sure you have a decently sized area. For this build's dimensions, we're going to need to measure just about everything. So, just some starter things. This base right here, not including the stairs or the deep slate down here, is 7 tall, 14 wide, and 41 long. So, you need to measure basically everything on this. So, right around here, just stack up using something easy to count and see how tall it is. And an easy way to figure out the height of something is to simply replace it with fire in creative mode. Because you're definitely going to have to be in creative mode at some point in order to measure it. So, easiest way is to just do /fill. So fill, put in these coordinates, and then up here, you insert new coordinates using the up key to get the last ones, and replace it with fire, and we can see it's 22 blocks tall, starting from the top of this base, and very little cleanup required if you measure it like that. So, very easy way to get the dimensions. And for right here, just the normal portal thing, not sure what to call it yet, we can just count how many blocks and figure out it's actually off-centered, so you're going to have to reduce its size by 1. So, 31 blocks wide here. So, pretty simple to measure the things, but the most complicated part of this is literally just getting all the deep slate. So, in order to get a general idea of what it should look like when you're done, this is a replica I built on my personal survival world, and we can see, well, it's quite large, but you have to do a lot of digging for it. So, of course, you can have your staircases, and the idea for this is for it to not be cracked. However, your version can be cracked if you want. So, of course, it's relatively simple. You just need a lot of deep slate. And don't forget about the interior, which you can fill up with just about whatever, which I decided to put my super smelters in here. So, in general, just a nice place to have something important. Of course, you need to be careful if you build it in a tall area, because it's a pretty tall build and you can fall off things. So, we now have to start our build, and I assume that you've chosen a nice area that is about 19 blocks wide, quite tall, so about 40 blocks tall and 41 blocks long. So, of course, we just start by putting in the initial dimensions we chose. So, we have 2 here, and that's 6, 8, 10, and you want that to be 14. So, that's 14. And you want to make this 7 tall. So 5 blocks of interior space, like this. Connect it across, and then place down 41 blocks in one direction. Once you have done your frame, then fill it in with deep slate bricks. And you'll probably understand what I mean about requiring extensive amounts of deep slate. However, if you don't have enough deep slate, just mine more than you think you need. So about 1 double chest of deep slate will suffice. So fill in the entire thing, and to make our lives easier later, we just need to find the center, and don't do an even block center. That was an issue that I had with my build that caused some weird things. So find the center on the farther side from the entrance, which I'm still not sure about, so, might change. But find that, and go 5 blocks inward, so that way it's centered unlike the actual thing. So, now that we have a nice lame deep slate box, it's time to start setting up the foundations for the big portal, or whatever it might be. So, we can see we need to go 4 blocks inward, and what we want to do 4 blocks inward is place down some cobbled deep slate. So, there should be 3 blocks, and then the 4th one should be cobbled deep slate. So, it should connect directly with the back like this. So, it will be the 3rd block in the back, and put some nice deep slate slabs around it. So, this part isn't completely necessary with the slabs, but it's just a neat detail. Now, you just want to go a couple blocks inward, and remember, always swap between your worlds and see what looks good, because, of course, you aren't going to remember every single detail on the sides of it. So, constantly measure, because the last thing you want is an issue with a large build like this. So, however many blocks you see fit here, and then mirror it on the other side. So, I got these little foundations in, and here's just a good look, because most of you are going to be copying me because this is a pretty tough build, and you probably want how mine looks. So, now that we have that out of the way, we want to connect them up like this. So, just a long line of polished deep slate. On the back, directly connect. On this part where there's an extra cobbled deep slate slab part, you just connect them like this, where the slab ends and turns back into a support beam. Then you go above, and you place down some more, and it's just a lot of placing deep slate. Now, what we need is our souls, so soul soil or soul sand, and some fire charges, or really just flint steel because no one's going to use that many. And we want to have it be 4 blocks. So, right about this. So, either 4 blocks or 5 blocks, and make a long line. However, don't light it yet, because, of course, you're going to be building stuff above it. And, say you drop something, you don't want to lose precious deep slate. That takes forever to mine, just for it to burn. So, place it down, but don't light it yet. So, we're ready to start building the actual portal part, which unfortunately won't actually work because, you can't exactly move polished deep slate, well, reinforced deep slate, and also, that's not been added at all. So, what we need to do is tower up 20 blocks. If you have this thing right here, then you want to go up 19. So, like this, an easy way to do it is just go into survival and give yourself that many blocks, so that way you don't make any errors. And once you've done that, if you're in survival, go back to creative mode and just connect it across. So, like this, and once you get to this point, just go back up. So, of course, you're going to be using a lot of deep slate, so, mine up, and connect it across like this. And you do not want to fill this in, because later we're going to have to make an inner ring so that way we can have the open part in the middle. So connecting it across like this, and we can fill in a couple of sides. So we can't do the front, but we can do these sides and the bottom. So right here, we can put some over the fire, but you might want to light the fire first. So do the sides, top and bottom, but not the inner part yet. So, did the outside parts, and it's really starting to look like the real thing, but a little bit dumbed down. So, what we need to do now is 2 blocks here, 2 blocks here, and 3 blocks on top. And this dictates the outsides of our frame. So, we want to just make our polished deep slate like this, and add another tower here. So now we have a corner, and we can see this dictates the bottom part. Then we just wrap it all around. We also do 2 on the other side. And once we do that, we have the frame for the inner part, which means we can do the outer part of the wall. So the inside is hollow and the outside can be filled in. And of course, we want to connect it to the other side, and we can fill in this interior part with deep slate bricks as well. So pretty simple. Now, we just have an empty frame. And the build looks a little silly right now, but with some just finishing, we can make it very good. The first thing we need to do is create just a little thing to hold the actual portal thing itself. So we want to make a ring of cobbled deep slate. So it should touch the ground, but on the sides it should remain 1 block away, but on top it should connect again. So just like this, and then we go back down, and we have to do this twice. So one here, and in the middle we'll have a smaller ring of smooth basalt, which will be the obtainable version of reinforced deep slate that we can use in this build. Because, you can't exactly get reinforced deep slate in survival. So, smooth basalt is a good alternative, but if you have any other things you think you could use, then simply state them in the comments below. So, create the ring, and something else to mention is you want to make this nice alternating pattern of stairs, just to add a little bit of texture, like this. So, it might look a bit weird, but you might just have to alter various parts of it. When building this, I realized that the one I built on my personal world turns out was 1 block shorter than the actual real deal. So, I had to make a small altercation to these things right here. So, in case you made it 20 blocks tall instead of messing it up and somehow doing 19, what you want to do is have an extra stair 2 here, 2 here, then just 1 stair, so making a smaller gap, and then just a full block right here. Then, on the inside, you want to have 2 chains connecting the basalt to the wall. But, you want to have a little bit of cobbled deep slate in case someone looks up close, but don't put chains on that. So, connect the 2 sides up with chains, and place down an extra block to make it look good if someone gets close. Don't connect it like this though, because honestly, that's just not needed. So, we got a nice middle piece. But, of course, this place is still looking a little bland. So, what we need to do is spice it up with just some new ears on the side, or eyes depending on how you see them. What we need to do is create a little circle around this. So down here, another circle. And then we make a bigger circle around this. We need some stairs for this. And we create just a nice circle and connect them around. And you'll probably need some scaffolding. Do it like this. Connect them right here. And we can see it's starting to look like the things on the side of the real deep dark thing. So, just like this, connect them at the top again. And we fill the entire thing with bricks. And just a little thing so this clip doesn't get extensively long. We can see it looks really nice. If we remove this piece right here, you can get a general idea of how it's going to look. So it might look a little derpy at first, but it'll look better if we get more things in the middle, such as these teeth. Also, because I realized I made a bit of a miscalculation when building, you want to center the smooth basalt. So if you created something and did not center it, it might be a good time to put it towards the middle, because it looks kind of sunken back. So, I have added one final detail to the middle portal frame thing, and that's teeth. So, every 2 blocks, so starting right here, 2 blocks away, I place down some nice tile walls, deep slate tile walls to be specific, but there's no other tiles in this game as of now. And then I surrounded them with polished deep slate, and that created nice teeth, which, when compared to the original one, gives it that same kind of menacing look, because the original one's pretty rugged looking, but it's really hard to build, and it's just very worn down. So what we want to do now though is starting one block from the edge, create a one slab staircase like this, so 4 blocks wide, and when you reach the middle, create a nice platform. So pretty simple, just do this until you reach a nice level, and then mirror it on the other side and place some deep slate bricks under it. So I've built a staircase, and we can see I have just a nice railing over here, and you can pause for a moment to look at its design. So we just want to make a nice railing pattern, and we also want to make some sort of like hole in the middle, so that way we can create an interior to this thing, which you can fill up with whatever. So I'm not actually going to cover how to do the entire interior because it's completely up to you what you want to have in it. But we want to have something to just get into it. So just make a hole and we'll decorate it later. For now, work on the railing. So finish the railing, and I've been starting to make an entrance here. And I made this little thing right here using 4 blocks, 4 stairs, with some bricks behind it, and used a diamond block as an accent. However, diamond blocks are pretty expensive, so just an oxidized copper block will suffice. For the inside, of course, I'm not going to, do much, because I'm not entirely sure what to put in here. I put my super smelters on my world, so if you want to, look up a tutorial or just build your own super smelter, and just light this place up. But one recommendation I can give is use a lot of soul-related items and make the ground tiled deep slate. So I just filled this place up with some lights, and this just looks kind of nice. Although it's literally useless, it's just a place and some ideas, super smelters, or it could be your house, although very expensive house. And one other thing, you should try adding armor stands with some armor on them on the sides. So just equip them with iron armor. Another thing, this part of the ceiling is important. You need to have this part right here, so that way when we go to the above ground part, we can just fill it in with deep slate tiles, like this. So we can make this tiles, and we can add some stuff here, and we can place some candles on that. So just like this, and place some candles on top of this. You can use tiles or bricks, or really just whatever, but add candles to it. So this build is done once we've added some candles, and it looks really nice, especially with some shaders, and we can see it looks a little derpy at times, but it also looks kind of menacing depending on how you look at it. So anytime you need something to do with your deep slate, just build one of these, and who knows, you could even build an entire deep dark city on the surface. So I'd recommend building one of these if you just don't know what to do with a lot of deep slate, or your build kind of just works with it, because it's definitely a statement to have the biggest Minecraft structure's centerpiece right next to your base. So with that, it's the end of today's video. If you enjoyed this video, remember, please like and subscribe. It really helps me out. So with that, take care, enjoy 1.19, Gearsaw,